With me today is Tyler McCann. Tyler, thank you for joining me. Tyler is the organizer of the Rendezvous City Roundup. Is that correct? Did I say that right?
Yeah, Rendezvous City Beef Roundup.
Okay,
So
Rendezvous City Beef
yeah,
Roundup.
we
And the
we dropped the rendezvous because no one could spell it. So we're just going Beef Roundup from now on.
oh, the Beef Round. That makes more sense. Okay, there's like on the Instagram, your Instagram handle is Beef Roundup. Okay. Well, I knew where Riverton was. I didn't know where Rendezvous City was. So that
Yeah,
makes
yeah.
yeah. Okay, awesome. So the roundup is from us chatting. I know it's about connecting ranchers with consumers. So trying to help those independent ranchers stay in business and continue to connect with consumers who value that highly nutritious and well cared for beef and allow those ranchers to stay out of the CAFO system. The industrial multinational system. So that's a fantastic event, a fantastic reason to have an event. Tell us a little bit about it's on. No, I know it's coming up in a couple weeks in August. Tell us a little bit about the event itself.
Yeah, August 24th is the main event.
Okay.
We've got a few days. We've got the Friday and the Sunday before and after that we've got some additional events on our place. But yeah, that was about 7 years ago. We'd been doing our direct marketing business for a while, and we'd always hear that this is the best beef from people. And I kept talking to my wife and a couple other things that happened. And we said, why isn't there some sort of culminating event that ranchers can hang their hat on and say, this is the best beef? And I talked to her about it. She encouraged me. I think she wonders why she encouraged me at this point. But so we started with the best beef in Wyoming, and we actually had 8 ranches the first year. And quickly afterwards, we had ranchers from other states contact us. They'd seen some articles in local ag journals and things, and some stuff on social media saying, how are you doing this? We want to get involved. We couldn't get this done in our state. And so we ended up creating an open division, and that's the best beef in the West. And that's for anybody in the country. Last year, second place went to, I think it was Utica, New York. Is that right?
Wow.
Um, yeah, Burley Brothers, Minnesota, they won it. I'm sorry, Michigan. And so, yeah, it's really been interesting to see how producers have embraced it. But we looked at every other industry, and they all have some tasting event. If it's the wine industry, whiskey, cheese, baking, there's any of these things have some sort of best of event. And beef is a multi-billion-dollar a year industry, whether it's commercially or locally or however that's getting to the plate. And there was nothing like that in America.
Hmm.
It turns out at the same exact time, there was one in Europe that is the best beef in the world. But the public is not invited to that. That's kind of a society. I don't
Huh.
understand exactly how they do it. But yeah, ours is the only one open to the public. We have I think this year so far we have 34 or 35 producers. And then we have a bunch of speakers from the carnivore community, and it just keeps growing every year.
So you have a couple panels. Is that's what's going on with the carnivore community? Okay. So it'd be on Saturday. They'd have the like a few panels going on in the morning and afternoon.
Yeah, first thing, 9 a.m. At the Peck Auditorium at Central Wyoming College. We have Dr. Anthony Chaffee, Dr. Sean O'Mara, Dr. Lisa Wiedemann. I believe Dr. Kiltz is going to be there for it. Jake Thomas from Life Like Jake, Courtney Luna, and Angela Lero. They're all going to be there and do a wide open 2 hour live carnivore Q&A. Only people that are in the audience can ask questions. It's a $25 ticketed event, but it's a very intimate little theater that we have here. And you'll be able to go in and, be able to visit with them afterwards. They are all of our celebrity judges, so I will have to pull them away at some point, but they're all really fantastic. They have really embraced this, and they really want to see more events like this to where producers and consumers can come together as well. So they have been so helpful in helping me grow the event. And then later in the day, in the general admission portion of the event, we're going to have women's health talk with some of the ladies that are there. Bella Ma, Steak and Butter Gal from Instagram. She's going to be there. She's actually having her wedding on Sunday after the event. It's the first ever meat wedding. And so,
That's
yeah,
great.
we've got a lot of things going, but trying to get people engaged in the event and have a lot of fun.
That sounds amazing. So you're doing a beef tasting. I understand. I think there's going to be what food trucks there with some of the meat from around the people who had entered and submitted their beef. And some dinners, I would assume, or there's a dinner of some sort.
Yeah, so our VIP event is the best beef in Wyoming. Those tickets are pretty much sold out at this point. We're checking
Gotcha.
back with some of the sponsors. We may open up just a handful more tickets the day of. But yeah, those, if you have a VIP ticket, you get all kinds of fun stuff in a swag bag, all kind of meat-based stuff that goes with that. It's a really cool bag. And you get to come to that VIP dinner. That's all 10 of the ranches from Wyoming, and they all put in the same cut of beef, and we cook it all exactly the same, and we keep it all separated throughout the process. You'll get a 1 ounce serving from each of the 10 different ranches. And if you're not full carnivore, we have some really nice sides, and there's some drinks and stuff as well. But
Gotcha.
really fun dinner there. You might be sitting at a table with Dr. Anthony Chaffee or Dr. Charlotte Mara. You don't know. It's in an arena, so it's a dirt floor.
Hmm.
Yeah, so we try and keep it very Wyoming. It's a very elegant dinner. We have a very nice setting, everything. But yeah, it's in the afterwards. Everybody has a little fun, do some dancing. But yeah, if you're there during the day for the general admission, you get to be part of the judging for the food trucks. You get a little poker chip when you come in the gate, and you get one vote on what is the best food truck in Wyoming. So they'll all have a little dish, and it's fairly reasonably priced so that you can try all 5 or 6 and vote on them, listen to some live music, go to some of the talks, and just get connected with some really great people.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So it really started with connecting the ranchers to consumers, but now it's blossomed into you have a health aspect. So you had a business aspect initially, and then it's blossomed into having a part of it that is connected to the carnivore community and health and so forth, and how that's connected. And really just it sounds like a lot of fun for anyone who just has an interest in beef or looking for a good rancher or that they want to connect with for their beef. Um, so there's plenty of opportunity to be tasting, I'm assuming.
Yeah, yeah. The celebrity judges, they have the hard part. We never have had any of them afterwards. I hear the same thing every year. They all say this was one of the hardest things I've ever done.
Huh.
Because these literally are some of the best beef in the world. And the next one they're all better than the last one. It's just amazing. And so they do have kind of a tough job. But no one ever feels sorry for them.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, we feed them steak all day. But yeah, so it really is. We do have some other cuts of meat that those producers send in this year. James Berry from Pluck Seasoning, he's going to make the trip out, and we got him a grill. We're sponsored by Camp Chef, and so they sent us a truckload of grills. So you'll be able to go up. There'll be some different booths. There's some kids cooking first thing in the morning, and those I think they're going to make some burgers, and then they'll be able to eat those as well. And I think Bella Ma and Courtney, Luna, and Elle, they're all going to take a few minutes at the grill and do some of their favorite carnivore recipes. Some of the producers, they're going to set up and have some little grills at their individual booths, and they'll do some tastings as well. So just because you're not in on that main open division tasting or that regenerative division, if you didn't get a VIP ticket, there's a lot of steak, a lot of meat all day long. You can definitely, if you go away hungry, it's your own fault.
Gotcha. And that's El Chaffee, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
El Chaffee. And so you've got producers coming from more than just Wyoming. It sounds like you got them coming from other states now with all the, with the kind of the publicity you've gotten in the past.
Yeah, some of them ship their meat in. We make it where they'll start shipping their meat this week, and we make it to where they don't have to be here. We provide them a Zoom link to watch the judging, but a
Oh,
lot of
gotcha.
the producers do show up. The lady from Oregon, she's coming down with her entry. Several of the groups from Colorado are bringing their entry in person. So we have a really good mix. We're 2 hours from Grand Teton and
Hmm.
Yellowstone National Parks. So a lot of them turn it into a vacation and they come and yeah, get to spend a few days in Wyoming and go see the sights, do some fishing, get out. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, we get a good mix of some just can't make it for schedules and it's hard to get off of the farm or the ranch and we understand that. So
Right.
we didn't want to stop anybody there. But yep, we get a lot of them bring their submission in hand and there's nothing more fun than being able to hand that buckle to the people that win. It is and to see the other groups of producers that are there, they're very seldom anybody that's upset about it. Usually they're very excited for the people that have won. And it's neat to see that they understand what went into making that product and to now get that recognition. They're usually just very supportive and very grateful to see who was there and won it.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure it's really about, like, originally about the exposure to connecting the ranchers and consumers. So any kind of connection and exposure to new consumers is a benefit for it. So everybody wins in that regard, I would assume.
Yeah, and the really cool part, like you said, the producers that won last year, Sawmill Creek, they ended up turning it into a lot of marketing for them. We have Beef Producer Magazine did a feature article on them, and then we send a poster home with their total overall score, and they get the buckle, and they really leveraged it well and used it. They had a 35% increase in their sales month after month for several months after winning our event. So
Wow.
really cool to see that, I have high hopes that one day they'll get to serve some steaks in something like the Bellagio or be featured in some really big venue like that for a night or two.
Right. I don't think people understand how much work goes into, from the rancher standpoint, into affecting the flavor of their meat with what they're working with the grasses. I know you guys put a lot of time into the soil, the grass, what's it eating? What do how you're feeding your livestock impacts the flavor and everything that livestock goes through in their lifetime. I mean, that's there's art to the science, I think,
Yeah.
and it impacts the not just the flavor, but the nutrition in the meat. And that's what makes it so distinctive from the multinational industrial, CAFO style meat
Yeah.
producers, which are owned by, like I said, multinational companies, which are buying and selling meat here on open auction internationally, uh, and many times part of running ranchers out of business. So really, the antithesis of what you guys are doing here is the meat we see typically in the grocery store. That's like that's the multinational people who are both buying and selling meat on an open market. We could be bringing in meat here from Brazil and selling our meat to China, but you guys
Yep.
are like the original small business independent ranchers who are just trying to keep feeding Americans and keep and staying connection with your consumers. I don't know that everybody understands how important that is, or that the time and energy and the knowledge base that the ranchers have in developing a healthy and tasty product. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, I'm actually first generation rancher.
Are you
I
really?
married into it. My wife
Okay.
is fifth generation, and
Okay.
so we're raising the sixth. And I had grown up. My uncle had, not Michelin rated restaurants, but very high end restaurants in Colorado. And so I grew up there, had a taste for food, and I never knew what it took to put a steak on the plate.
Mm,
And I was always in agriculture, but I never was in ranching. And marrying into a ranching family and seeing everything that goes into it, there definitely should be some awards for that. It
yeah.
is a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that keep it going every day. So, but it is, we talked about that on another interview just the other day, that it's really fascinating to see people are almost like artisans in their own area. And that's why I try not to have people stigmatize one type of beef over another. If the most important thing is that you are going out and meeting those producers and finding out why they do it the way they do it in their area. Because of our harsh winters, it's very difficult for us to consistently finish a grass finished product. We do bring our cattle in and we do supplement them with some grain twice a day. We do have a lot of grains in our area that are primarily beer barley for
Mm,
Coors Brewing in Colorado. And so we're able to take that rejected beer barley and add some energy to those cattle's diet. And that would have otherwise been a waste product. And those cattle can convert it to something delicious and nutritious. And so it is, we've done in the past where within the same pasture, we have our summer range is 56 square miles, and we run out with a couple other people. And we literally went to the allotment right next to ours that has a more significant river that runs through it. And we bought some of their cattle that were finished on that grass. And then we took a cow of ours that was about 3,000 feet less elevation and more sagebrush. We don't have any major water sources on our allotment. And we butchered, they were relatively the same age, relatively the same breeding, tried to make it apples to apples. Absolutely completely different taste. And they grew up within 30 miles of each other.
wow.
And so people don't realize how much that flavor is affected by what you're feeding, the breeding of the animals. So this is fun to get people involved in that. And this year we've got a really wide open group. We've got everything from Texas Brahma beef, Oregon dairy cow. There's a lady there that uses some retired dairy cows,
Okay.
and that is a fascinating looking beef. We've got some carrot finished beef from California. We've got some traditional finished beef from New York. All of the previous winners, they're back. We've got some, one of the really fun ones that comes out of Colorado that's a previous winner. They feed spent beer barley from a brewery, a microbrewery that's in their area. And that was a fantastic flavor. It was a melt in your mouth on a Longhorn Coriani cross. So
Ooh,
we see a lot of these that aren't that traditional Black Angus through a
right.
feedlot, and I'm not pro or con on the feedlots. I understand the different arguments for and against that. Um, I just like seeing it all. I'm very fascinated by all these different aspects to this huge business.
Right. Right. Well, and I think the big thing is keeping our ranchers going and make sure there is they have the connection to the consumers and consumers realize that there is a difference. They do have a choice. to
Yeah.
connect with the ranchers and know how to do that, because like you said, they're artisans and they're small business people, and it's part of our culture and our history here, and we need to keep it going. We need to facilitate it as much as possible. And so I think that's what's great about your event, is that it's helping facilitate that independent rancher who is doing something special and personal, and it's like one of our original small businesses, American small businesses, that we need to keep going and bring more awareness to, because it's become, I just don't think people realize the distinction between, like I said, the feedlot and the rancher. They don't quite realize the impact, I think the positive impact on the environment that the difference in those two forms of ranching have, where your independent ranchers who are primarily have cattle on grass as much as they possibly can, throughout the year, even with, like, you guys get what, 9 inches of rain out there and a year.
Yeah.
And it's like you're doing everything. I mean, everything, the way you guys ranch puts carbon in the soil. It actually improves the soil. It doesn't take away from it at all.
Yeah, and when we're not clearing rainforests so that we can be
Right.
grazing cattle. That's the neat part for me, is that people will get to be. We want people to come out and see this high mountain desert. We're going to take some people out to the ranch. We've got just a handful of tickets that we allowed to come with us and the celebrity judges and some of the other producers. We're going to go tour the ranch and see. One of our biggest challenges personally is the wild horses as well. So we can adapt to and understand our environment with less than 9 inches of rain a year. But there's some limitations with having to live alongside of wild horses as well. And you see some of the success stories. It was in South America. Another guy, he's almost tripled his grazing by using some regenerative techniques to impact the desert that he lives in. And I think he was right in that same, single digits of rain per year. And he's really increased his grazing. But the restrictions that we have along with the wild horses adds another layer of difficulty into our management practice. And so it's important for people to understand why it is we have very high standards for producers to have to adhere to in the US, where in other countries there's not necessarily those standards. If they need to go out and clear 500 acres of rainforest a day to make room for cattle to graze, there's not necessarily anybody standing in their way.
Mm,
And if we need to move a fence line, it's like an act of Congress.
gotcha.
So yeah, I think it's important for people to understand the economic challenges that we face with regulation that we have to adhere to, whether it's in small local processing plants or producers themselves with health requirements or any of those things that we look at. Those are all things that factor in to where a beef that's coming from another country is going to be so much cheaper, and they can market our premium beef to a Pacific Rim country where they have such high demand for American Angus grain fed, corn fed.
Right.
Uh, they can play that 3 card money game of switching some of that out, and they're sending our beef overseas and bringing in foreign beef to put with our trim, and that's what's going in the grocery store.
Yeah.
And we don't know. We're not saying that that's what happens all of the time, but the possibility is there, and consumers just need to understand it. If I go into the grocery store and buy a watermelon in Riverton, Wyoming, I can see where it was grown. There's a sticker on it.
Mhm.
And, we will see what this regulation now we're back to country of origin labeling starting next year in 2025. We will see how consumers respond to that, and we will see what pitfalls there are to that system as well. But I think for me, the biggest thing is if you are able to go out and meet with those people and be part of that supply chain. I think there's such a big breakdown there of we've been relegated to producers and consumers.
Yeah.
And we need to be part of that supply chain. You may not be able to grow a cow in your backyard. I get that. I can grow 600 in my backyard. So, if there's something that you can start doing to understand, even if it's growing your own herbs, if you have a backyard, get a few chickens and, start collecting the eggs, something to be part of that supply chain starts to help you understand all of the challenges that go into putting food on the table. And then when you meet that rancher or that farmer in your area, and you can say, that's why they're doing it the way they're doing it, because we have these limiting factors. Some places it's too much rain. For us, it's not enough rain or cold winters or, whatever those things are in your area. When you start to understand how that impacts them, you're going to be able to make better decisions for your area.
Right. That's amazing. Yeah. So there is a change in labeling for next year. People will be able to see, you said, where their meat is coming from.
Yeah, that mandatory cool country of origin labeling that was passed earlier this year. And that'll go into effect in 2025. And that will make it to where in the past, or as it stands right now, if you get a box of beef from Argentina and it's or it can be shipped here live, it can be shipped here already processed and slaughtered. When that gets here, if you were to take that package out and divide it into smaller packages and put it in a new box, that is now a product of America, of the USA. So what the new rule will do is to say it's a product of America, it will have to be born, raised, and slaughtered in the United States. There's some nuances within that as well, but that's the bigger picture, is that people will understand that is born, raised, and slaughtered in the U.S. when it has that product of the USA on it now.
Gotcha. Good to know. That's good to know.
Yeah.
A lot of people probably didn't realize that as well. That's amazing.
Yeah, and we'll see. That was one of the things that we were always told for the last several years when they repealed it several years ago, is that it'll add too much cost and it'll drive consumers away. And really, we have all of the infrastructure to track that. If you look at any outbreaks of anything that we've had, which have been very limited in the last 20 years, they were able to track them right to the farm, to the day, to the cow. There's so many fail safes in place already. I don't truly believe that it will add any. I think it will give the consumer an option. If price is your number one determining factor when you purchase proteins in the grocery store, you'll still have that option. That label will reflect where that originated.
Mm-hmm.
And if that is your number one determining factor, I get that. But if you would like to adhere to something that you knew was born, raised, and slaughtered in the United States, you'll have that option as well. And so I think that's a good thing to open it up. So my hierarchy is that beef is better than no beef.
Right.
American beef is better than beef, and local beef is better than all of them.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's a great hierarchy for people to understand who they're supporting and where their dollars are going. If they want to vote with their dollars, that's a great way to look at it. Great way to use great labeling system to help them do that. Well, Tyler, thank you so much. I don't want to keep you much longer. I know you got work to do. You got 500, 600 head of cattle behind your backyard. That sounds like a lot of work. Obviously it is. And I look forward to seeing you. I'm going to be out there for well, we're doing a documentary out there called Animal to capture, and this is part of the story. I want to capture how you guys are raising your beef and kind of the connection between humans and animals, but specifically beef, is the subject of the documentary. And we want to capture what you guys are doing out there and how you're bringing producers and consumers together, but also that artisan aspect and the importance and the health aspect, as well as the relationship there that you're trying to build between ranchers and consumers. I think that's all part of what we're trying to convey to people, and the impact, the positive impact it has on the environment as well. It's like the problem is not with if there's any kind of environmental question, it shouldn't be placed on the independent ranchers who are raising cattle the way they always have on open pasture, or with, that is only contributing to the benefit of the environment, and it's not the problem. So we want to help people understand kind of your story and the point of view of the independent rancher and what they're really trying to do. So I appreciate you opening your doors, letting us come in there and see and just kind of capture what you guys are doing there with this with the Beef Roundup. Where can people get more information about the Roundup?
Yeah. And that, just to insert there, that you
Sure.
hit on a big one, that's one of the things that I tell people all the time. If you want to do the most environmentally conscious thing that you can with if that's a determining factor for your beef purchase, the most environmentally friendly thing you can do is shake the hand of the person that raised it. Because if you are within that proximity of them, that's not coming from oceans away. That can be just right across the street. It can be within the county. It should definitely be within the state. So that is the most environmentally friendly thing you can do, is find someone whose hand you can shake with the product that you're going to buy.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So yeah, as far as more information, go ahead, just go to beefroundup.com. There are a lot of tickets available for our different tastings and our different carnivore Q&A. That's a ticketed event. We're gonna shut off the VIP tickets for now, and there may just be a handful more on the day of. And yeah, follow us, Beef Roundup on Instagram, or Rendezvous City Beef Roundup on Facebook. And we're putting out a lot of fun content. You'll start to see all of our producers get on there. We do a kind of a preview of their beef, and give a shout out to some of our sponsors too.
That's awesome. That's great. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time, and I look forward to meeting you in person in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, it'll be great to have you guys there.